So it looks like our song Next Level for Aespa, a track that I was a writer and co-producer on, has been banned in several countries. So what does that mean? What happens when that happens? I don't even know. This is the first time I've ever even heard that a song could get banned. So what's happening now that the song is getting banned? What kind of feedback are we getting? Well, the interesting thing is that when you ban something, people tend to want to hear it more. And that's what we've experiencing. We're seeing a rise in more people checking out the song. We're seeing it put on different TV shows and commercials. We're starting to see more buzz around this track, which has been amazing. So for any of the writers and producers out there, or people who want to know more about the song or the things that happen like that, I'm going to break some of that stuff down. Because a lot of times when you're trying to create music, when you're trying to do music as a career, or you are a writer and producer who are just trying to get your foot in the door, you don't really know what happens when a song becomes a hit. You just kind of hear about it in the distance. So I'm going to share a little bit with you out there so you can kind of understand what happens when a song really does bubble like this. First and foremost, there is no massive change in your lifestyle. It's not like all of a sudden you go from having like hamburgers and next thing you know it's only steaks. You know, that's not how the world works, even though a lot of people like to pretend it is on TV shows and reality shows and things like that. The reality is you want to make more great music. I mean, especially for me, that's most people don't know this, but I've been writing and producing professionally for 15 years. I've had other songs on the radio. I have lots and lots of songs on TV shows, movies, commercials, video games, things like that. I have over 100 placements in that field. So I've seen songs go out into the world and make it pretty big on different things. But what's really cool about this song is because I had no clue about K-pop. I had no backstory. I didn't know anything that's going on with all these interesting, storylines and how amazing the videos are and all the in-depth and kind of like way of looking at life that they have layered in the storyline. So I've become a massive fan of K-pop recently. And that being said, I'm going to be working on tracks for K-pop coming up soon because I actually enjoy it better now. I more than some of the American artists that I've been working with. Because I think K-pop allows this ability to have true depth about life in a form of catchy songs, but then the genres also change, so it's experimental within just one track, and they can say things in a way that make you contemplate life. And for me, the kind of person that I am, I'm someone who contemplates life. I'm someone who's always trying to find the deeper meaning in things because I think a lot of times things get very glamorized and very glossed over in today's society, which makes people walk around almost like they're in a fog. And I just feel that that's so disheartening when you see human beings walking around in a fog for their whole life. They don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They don't know why they're in these bad relationships. They don't know why they're addicted to social media. They don't know why they're getting that bad job that they don't really want. But it's this constant wanting and needing, and after a while you start to look around and say, what's really going on here? And so I think something that we do as musicians, and if you're really passionate about your craft, is to cut through all that crap and try to find things that you generally care about. And so for me, I'm going to be doing a lot more K-pop songs coming up and still working with other artists as well. But this has been a really interesting experience. So what has it done for my career, people might ask? Yes, you do get more phone calls. You get people saying congratulations more. You have that thing where someone walks you in a room and when they introduce you, they say, oh, well, Adam has a hit song right now that's going around the world and it's banned now. Yeah, that stuff does happen. Does that define who I am? No, because I was writing and producing for a long time and mentoring many artists for the last 3 years, showing them all of the tricks and tips and secret formulas, because there are secret formulas that go into these hit songs. So the things that you see in my channel, the breakdowns, it's because I've been doing this for a long time. But I will tell you how I got here, because I think that's an interesting story. So about 10 years ago, I was living in Austin, Texas. And I was writing songs and I just signed a management deal, and I would get this constant thing where I'd send out a song to an executive and they'd write me back and they'd say, cool track, love the melody. It doesn't sound like it's finished though. It doesn't sound like it needs a little bit more work on the lyrics or maybe a little bit more work on the beat, but it's got a good start. I kept hearing that, good start. And after a while, hearing good start started to get pretty annoying because in my mind, I thought I was making pretty good music. And so I had to really stop for a minute and think about, am I creating music that is truly competitive with what's on the top of the charts, period? No insert my emotion at the end. No, I think it's pretty close. no, well, if I pass it to this person, they might know that person. I had to stop all that. And what I did was I went through this moment where I took every single hit song from 1950, every song that was number one on the charts from 1950 till that year, and I just listened to them. And I just listened to them. I listened to how they were created. I listened to how they were crafted. I listened to all the changes, all the transitions. I listened to the lyrics, the melodies, and I started just to pay attention to the songs that hit number one. And after I looked at all these songs, I did kind of go a little crazy, and I had a marker, and I started to draw on my walls in the house that I was renting. So if you walk into my living room, I have pictures of this somewhere too. There was writings all over the walls, and I was finding like, okay, that word rhymes with that word, and this is a contrast to that, and that's an emotional visual, and this is a power of three, and this is sonic information. And I was just writing out this massive algorithm that I had seen and understood from listening to all these hit songs and seeing the correlations in them all. And I remember people would come to my house because I didn't live too far from downtown, and I had a piano in the living room and a fireplace, and so I was new to Austin and a lot of the musicians I would meet. So after we would perform on stage at the end of like a show, I'd say, if anyone wants to come back to my house for a couple of beer, feel free. People would come by, and it would turn into a hangout place where we'd all start playing music. People would bring their guitars from the gigs, and my living room would turn into this hangout spot of a lot of the great musicians in Austin, Texas at that point. And people would walk in my house and they'd look at my walls and they would just be like, what is going on in here? Like, this is like a mad scientist. And I remember I would invite people over to study with me. Like, hey, do you want to study? And do you want to study? And I'll tell you this is the interesting thing. I think like 4 people came one time. And then it whittled down to one other person. And then 2 weeks into it, even that person stopped coming because they no longer wanted to learn. And the interesting thing about that, the people that did not want to learn did not really increase their career past this point in history where they were like the top musicians in Austin, Texas. Nothing really happened after that. They tended to stay right where they were at. And so I always think about that when it comes to learning and the passion to want to learn. It's a very interesting characteristic type that not all people have. Some people are so talented that everyone tells them, like, you're talented, so keep being talented. But what happens is, when you get to a certain point where your talent has a ceiling, and now it's not about being talented, it's about being talented and executing a product that's at the top level of an industry that's extremely hard to break into, and everybody wants to be in it. Well, now all of a sudden, that number of people who can do that starts to get smaller, 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 smaller. So, like I said, I was working on all this stuff, and I was asking people to come over to study, and I formed, out of all this studying, a checklist. This is my own checklist that I created that has all of the key principles that have to be in a song in order for it to go well on Billboard charts, okay? So I created it and I called it the Billboard Hit Song Checklist. I used this checklist on all my new songs. I was like, I have to do these things. More importantly, I have to keep myself accountable to do these things. Because there's one thing about learning something and then saying, oh yeah, I know that. But it's different from learning it and then doing it again and making it better. So I'm not a chef, but if I just read the ingredient list and said, oh, okay, so I need eggs and sugar and I need salt and I need this, and someone goes, oh yeah, I know that. But if someone goes, have you actually baked though? Do you know exactly the temperature? Do you know how long you can wait? Can you smell it in the air and know when it's ready? Like, do you know those things that aren't written down? See, that's the difference between someone who's an excellent baker or an excellent chef versus someone who's just looking at a recipe and says, oh, I know what those ingredients are. So I had to transfer the ability to know what a kick drum and a guitar and a piano and all these ingredients into now a practical way of creating something time and time again that I know people would love. And that's the difference. Once I got there and I started to constantly create and really give myself deadlines, because I'll be honest, it used to take me a full 2 weeks to finish one song, because I would play it over and over again. I would mix it in my room, then mix it in my car, and listen to it on different speakers, and then re-sing it or get someone else to sing it. There were so many different versions because I was always hoping to make something good. instead of knowing what to do and why I was doing it, which is different. Hoping for something will keep you in this weird sort of purgatory where you're always like waiting, wishing, wanting. But that kind of energy, that wishing, waiting, wanting energy, it's very low vibrational. When you know how to make something, if you know, think about it, like I said, back to the chef idea. If you know how to make an amazing lasagna, you're not in the kitchen hoping it comes out good. You're just like, I'm gonna make an amazing lasagna today, and then everyone's gonna love it, and it's gonna taste delicious, and I'm gonna be full after I eat it. I had to get to that point mentally, so I started to just make songs every day. And I started to ask my friends who were in the business, who were successful, and I'd say, how long does it take you or your clients to finish a song that sounds really good? How long does it take? And they said 48 hours. In 48 hours, if you can do an idea from scratch to a finalized song at the end and it sounds really good, you're in the sweet spot. You found the place to be to where you now are actually competitive with the other top people in the world. You're in that competitive field once you can get to that 48-hour turnaround. So I said, okay, time for me to get to work. And I just put myself on a deadline. I'd say, I'm going to make a song in 48 hours. And at first, the songs were kind of good. And they got a little better, and they got a little better. And I started to work with other friends who were really talented, and they give me tricks and tips. And we started collaborating. And we started to be able to do more songs and more songs and more songs. And I luckily met a really great friend of mine again later on in life who was also doing the same thing. And we formed a production company. And we started to make more songs and more songs and more songs. And every song we did was like we were cooking as chefs now. And that union, he was already great, so he just helped me to add my mindset along with all the studying I had. And as we came together on all these songs, there was that magic. It's that spark that people talk about. So the reason why I'm telling you all these things is because a lot of times for upcoming musicians, they don't know what they're missing only because they're also not around people who are holding them accountable. It's not that you can't get there. It's that the people around you don't know the actual work ethic and the quality control that is needed, that is demanded for high-level success, because most people have never attained that. Most people have no clue what it's like to be in the NBA. Most people have no clue what it's like to be in the Olympics. Most people have no clue what it's like to run a Fortune 500 company. And most people have no clue what it's like to be a hit songwriter or producer. So if you have that goal, but the people around you have never experienced it, well, they're only going to tell you to work as hard as they think will get there. But they have no clue what it actually takes to get there because they're not surrounded by someone who is. And that's why it's very, very important for anyone who's trying to think about getting into music or anyone who's kind of on the fence. If you can surround yourself with people who are already hit makers, with people who are already executives, or people who are just giving information that know the business, like really, really know it, that's how you can really advance your career. Because once that knowledge is known, you can't turn back and then create emotional roller coasters and say, well, I can't do it because I don't have the money. Well, there's a 15-year-old kid that I know who could do full tracks on their computer, on their laptop, anywhere in the world because they're that good. How? They studied on YouTube videos. And someone goes, well, I can't sing. Guess what? Neither could I. But I trained and I worked hard and I just kept on doing it, and I built a voice, and I was already in college. And someone else will say, well, it's all about who you know. Yeah, but so is everything else at the highest level. And it's not just about who you know, it's about who knows you. Who wants to call you when the song is needed by the end of the day? That's the most important part. It's not about who you know, it's about who's thinking about you. And more importantly, no one's going to think about you unless you're undeniable. So you got to get to this place to where you're undeniable. Your ear is undeniable. Your voice is undeniable. Your lyric writing is undeniable. Your productions are undeniable. You have to get to a place to where your product speaks for itself, and you don't have to sell it by talking or by putting Instagram pictures up. You can just put out a song and someone goes, that's a great song. So for anyone out there who's thinking about getting into music or kind of, like I said, questioning what they should do, if you have a passion for music, I'm going to tell you right now that these 3 things I'm going to say can get you to where you want to go a lot faster. 1, surround yourself with other people who are hungry and who are logically realistic. Because if you put yourself around too many dreamers, they will dream as long as they possibly can because it keeps them in a safe place from not letting their ego and insecurities get hurt. You got to be able to balance that. Trust me, I know a lot of people who dreamed real big and they believed it so much, but their work ethic and their ability to hold themselves accountable was not equaled. And right now, all of those people that I used to know are not successful. They still want it so bad, but they are not seeing results because they're not quantifying their dream with actualized movement forward. If anything, they're stuck in repeat because no one's telling them, stop, time to learn. And more importantly, no one's holding them accountable for them to learn. So what they keep doing is hearing how talented they are. 2, it's imperative that you understand money. One thing for artists is that no one teaches anyone how to spend, save, or invest money. So what happens is artists are always saying things like, I'm a struggling musician and I can't do that because I don't have any money and I need to borrow money from this person. Or unfortunately, some people, I have to manipulate this person to give me money. This is one of the biggest problems in the music industry, strictly because people don't know how to make money. But I'm telling you, anyone can make money, learn how to save it, and learn how to invest in their projects. And if you have really good music, there's tons of investors out in the world who would love to sponsor an upcoming artist, especially someone that they think is going to become very successful. Well, why would they want to invest in you? Because you have an amazing voice, because you can write great songs, and because you have a high quality filter. If you can get those things, trust me, there's people out here who want to give you money. But you have to get those things. You can't pretend, wish, and wait and want, and then expect money to come your way. It doesn't work like that. And 3, the final thing I will say, stay humble, okay? This is so important. And do not play victim. We're going to put those 2 things together. Here's why. There's a lot of people who are really talented and they got there because music was their release from something that happened. Maybe they were traumatized, or maybe they just think they were traumatized. Because trust me, I've met a lot of people in today's society that will, oh, this happened to me and that happened to me and blah, 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 blah. And they're telling me, and I'm like, yeah, that's not too bad at all, actually. I know someone in a third world country that had it way worse, and they are much nicer and much more humble than you are right now. But we've Americanized things a lot, where everyone is just in some sort of turmoil all the time. And a lot of it's because of all the movies and TV shows that show tons of manipulation and tons of drama. But that being said, the people who can stay humble, and the people who stay likable, and the people who will give others without always expecting something, tend to always land up in a position where they have almost so much they don't know what to do with, because they're constantly giving their energy, their love, and their time to other people because they want to see others succeed as well. The person who tends to play victim always wants something, and they will get it for a little bit, but then what happens is other people start realizing there's no real return on the investment, and then those people start to leave. And then that person who was doing it gets older while people are leaving. So it's harder for them to get more people to believe in their BS, because after a while, it's no longer the same story, because now people realize that someone was being very manipulative. The reason why I'm telling you all this is because I've seen so much talent shoot themselves in the foot over and over and over again. And they're not realizing that they're getting older. So what happens is the people who used to support them are now looking at them going, yeah, that same thing that you told me 10 years ago does not really make it okay for you to keep doing what you're doing. So it's about constantly evolving as a human being and realizing that we all have flaws. But if you have a flaw that you keep on repeating, well, but that keeps you in your own way of staying perpetually wrapped in a drama-filled bubble where you're the star of the show. But then what happens is usually the star gets removed because it becomes too much drama for most people to handle. But if you can learn from your mistakes, if you can grow from them and become better, well, that gives you more value each day in your life. And that, at the end of 10 years, means you're going to be up here in your value system. You'll have tons of friends, tons of connections, and you'll really understand who you are rather than playing a part in a movie of your life type idea system. All right, anyway, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, make sure your notifications are on so you can check out some of the more videos I'll be releasing, more video breakdowns. And that being said, I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you soon.